Welcome to Leaving CrazyTown with Finn and Sarah. Today we're going to talk about controlling people through people pleasing. What do you think about that?
All right, what I want to say is part of co-crazy behavior is being controlling. Now, we just want to acknowledge that
we aren't controlling.
Yeah. The thing about control is very often we don't think we're controlling.
No.
And we also don't identify certain behaviors that are really controlling, but we believe we're just being nice.
What's
I know
the
you
motivation?
Can relate. What's the underlying motivation? And where is it coming from? Which is usually
fear.
We always talk about fear, but it's
fear.
Always fear. It's either fear of what's happening for us. We say it's fear of what's happening for someone else, but normally it's fear of what's happening for someone else because we're afraid of what's happening for us.
And it's uncomfortable.
And it's uncomfortable, which is like the constant topic, discomfort, fear. Okay, so we're going to talk about people pleasing because people pleasing is something, it's like an easy recognition thing, meaning there's lots of other ways to control, and we were just discussing lots of them. There's passive ways, there's active ways, there's obvious ways, there's not so obvious ways, but we are going to do people pleasing and what we say, oh, we were just helping them.
And then we're going to ask you, did they ask for help?
Yes. Did they ask? And is the help coming from a place really of what you want or what they want? And we've addressed this in prior, I always say in prior videos, but I'm going to try not to say anymore. But we're going to give some examples of what we had as an experience of helping or people pleasing, which was really about us.
Oh, and before we get going any further, subscribe, like our videos, subscribe to them.
We always forget to say that. And we really want you to subscribe. And we're not really sure why it's a benefit, but we know it is. And so please do that. That would be great. All right.
So I will say this.
All right.
Let's see. My people pleasing in the form of Finn in the white and shining armor. Really, not so much. My wife on many occasions would think about something that she had to do, or whether it be for her health, juicing or helping someone else, or can't have a discussion with her ex-husband, so she needs to get something done, and can't say no to people, so she would tell me over and over again how she had this thing to do or that thing to do, and she didn't feel like doing it. She really wished she could juice but didn't have the energy, sick and tired of it. Well, guess what Finn does? I'll do that for you. I got it.
Yes.
And Sarah and I were just talking about it, how I would jump in and do things
which may seem like being helpful.
Why was I doing it?
The why. It's all about the motive, and we're going to talk about this a lot. When you do a behavior, always look at or say to yourself, what's my motive?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And I wasn't aware of this at the time, but sitting and thinking about it, I was always uncomfortable with her not being 72 and sunny. So now she's got an issue and she's complaining to me about it. She's not asking for help. She just doesn't want to, oh, I don't want to do this. I wish I could do this, and I don't like how that feels. I want everyone around me to be in a space.
Oh my God.
Joyful and happy and, joyous and free.
I literally was just going to say, that's a new definition of codependency. We can't tolerate someone in our life not being 72 and sunny. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. So, and the interesting thing is, I feel like I shouldn't go anywhere if I'm not 72.
Yeah,
I don't want to be around people. My go-to when I'm not 72 and sunny is isolation, which is kind of funny because I don't.
It's another episode.
I'm like, oh, I want to feel good. I don't want to feel bad. And I didn't even know. So now, I'm taking on these tasks. I found myself doing juicing. Like I'm working in Boston, 14 hours, coming home and doing cases and cases of washing fruit, juicing for hours on end.
Because why?
Well, I didn't want to listen to someone else being anything but 72 and sunny.
Okay, so part of you probably was telling yourself, oh, this is helping Margaret. I'm really glad I can help Margaret.
There was no part of me that was saying I was uncomfortable.
So you're in denial about it.
No. What I was about to say was there was no awareness that it was that. I thought, look at me.
Oh,
a loving and kind husband doing all this juicing for my wife who has cancer, and she's tired. She doesn't feel like doing it. I'm going to do it for her. Did she ask me to? No.
Yeah. Did you get possibly resentful?
I got resentful. She got resentful.
Well, because now it's feeling like, and that's the other thing. Sometimes this people pleasing or helping, what does it do to the people in our lives? It feels like someone's trying to control you.
I've talked about this before where I said, you know what? I snapped because I was so exhausted, burning the candles at both ends, not having my free time. I'm overdoing these projects that aren't mine. And I'm like, could you just say no? But she couldn't say no and she was uncomfortable. So I would fix it because her uncomfortable made me uncomfortable. And I know with some of the health stuff, it would get to the end of my rope. And I remember specifically in the kitchen one time snapping and being like, I can't save your life. You have to do it yourself. And she just looked at me and said, thank God. I never asked you to.
Right.
So she wasn't happy. I wasn't happy.
Yes.
And she never asked me to do it. None of that stuff, reflecting on it, she ever asked me to do it. But I, selfless as I am.
I know. That's a great example of where people pleasing is really about us. And it always is. I mean, again, we're discerning between just being supportive and kind to someone and trying to control them. Something I was thinking about was we were talking about ways we try to control people in a relationship. And okay, I can't even believe I'm going to admit this, but sometimes I was going to say if I was married, because I was married so many times, if I was married or in a relationship with someone and they had something that I wanted to change, I would suddenly give them certain books for their birthday or something. Which again was totally manipulative. Okay, manipulation is another form of control. So, and this happened with clients a lot. I talked to a client about an issue and their husband, and then the next thing you know, they're buying books for them. And they're saying, oh, it's really to be helpful to them. But really, it's about not wanting to feel the feelings I was having that my husband or sweetheart was having around this certain issue. Like, say it was about anger. Okay. Yeah. The next thing you know, I'm, doing a deep dive on Amazon, books on anger. Geez, I really should give these to so-and-so about anger.
What do you ever find one of the best things about that is when you give those books, they're like, yeah, I know so many people that are angry. Like they don't even recognize that it's their issue or that you think it's their issue. They think it's such a good book. It's going to be so helpful with all the angry people in their life.
Well, it's the same exact thing about giving someone a book on codependency. And then the next thing you know, they've given it away to some person who needs the help when really, anyways, that's another topic. But really it's about, again, these ways of trying to control people is because we can't just say it. So instead of me saying, for example, to someone I'm dating, I'm feeling uncomfortable with your anger. And I really want it to be something for you to work on because I'm having a hard time tolerating it. Instead of just speaking directly, it's control and manipulation is a way to try to get something to happen.
Without taking responsibility.
Without taking responsibility for it and directly saying it.
Like giving them the idea.
Yes.
I've actually gone with communication that way. Like, we talked about on other videos about asking people like where they want to eat or whatever,
yes,
and directing them to the restaurant you want instead of just saying I'd like Italian.
Right.
And my thing with my example with my wife was really about me tolerating the fact that she was uncomfortable with something. And
yes,
I couldn't tolerate not fixing it. And that really, if I could learn to just sit with how I'm feeling, she may have actually picked up her own torch.
Right.
And found some will to change whatever it was she was upset about instead of me constantly trying to change it.
Yes. And I want to also give an example of, and then we're going to end this video because we're always going over time, but I want to talk about also what it's like to receive that. So I was dating someone one time and he really wanted me to be a certain way. And I think part of him didn't want to accept that I was just the way I was. So speaking of books, I was constantly getting books, by the way, on all kinds of topics. But I remember this one moment when we were in his car and, listening to music in the car and you want certain music and they want certain music. But for some reason, I would say like, hey, you got any Fleetwood Mac or you got any of this? And it was never, he'd say, oh, no, I want you to listen to this. And typically, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, it was always jazz. Okay. I wasn't a jazz person, but what it felt like he wanted me to love jazz because he wanted to go see jazz and wanted me to go with him. But I didn't like jazz. And so the feeling I was constantly having was feeling dismissed, not feeling heard, feeling like I wasn't okay just the way I was. And that's another thing. So when we're trying to control someone else, the message is that we can't accept them the way they are. And how we receive someone's attempt to control us, even though it's disguised as, oh no, you're going to love this jazz, or whatever the thing is someone said, you don't feel seen. Yeah. So we're gonna say trying to control other people and also receiving someone's control, neither one works, which is our message always in these videos. So I want you to think about for the next week, start identifying ways you try to control others. And if other people try to control you, think of those two, because we're leaving Crazy Town.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Fasten your seatbelt.